This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Keep your eyes on the skies and on the RTV6 radar. Our rain and storm chances will increase this evening. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. The chance for severe weather makes this a Storm Team 6 alert day, so let's get right to meteorologist Kyle Mounts with the details.
And Nicole, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that was issued a short time ago for the western third of central Indiana. It includes Lafayette into Greencastle and Rockville until 11 o'clock tonight. Right now, things are fairly quiet, but you can see that line of thunderstorms in Illinois is getting a little bit closer, and as we track it toward the east here and northeast around 30 miles per hour, you can see that's going to be getting into the western portion of the state around Vincennes here as we get about 45 minutes away and about 650 here into Sullivan. And again, that line will continue to move east from there. Right now, just a couple of very light showers around Marion and Peru for us, but here's TrueCast as we go through this evening. That line of thunderstorms by 9 o'clock still over the western portion of the state. I think it gets a little closer toward the Indianapolis area by 11 o'clock tonight, and then it will continue to weaken as it moves towards areas like Muncie, Richmond, and the Newcastle area as we get into the overnight hours. Out there, we've got those mild temperatures with the cloudy skies. We're in the 70s. We'll take another look at that timeline in just a few minutes.
Kyle, thank you. Now to our continuing coverage of the coronavirus and its impact on Indiana. The Indiana death toll has now topped 1,600. The number of confirmed cases in our state, more than 27,000. More than 177,000 Hoosiers have been tested so far. There is now another option for Hoosiers looking to get tested for COVID-19. A private urgent care chain is now doing testing. Indiana Immediate Care has 4 Indianapolis locations. 2 weeks ago, they started doing curbside nasal swab coronavirus testing. They are also now doing antibody screenings for recovered COVID-19 patients. We talked to the director of operations about what people need to know. She says you do not have to be a current patient to get tested. You just need to call when you get in the parking lot so they can screen you first over the phone.
I would invite every Hoosier in the state of Indiana to come in and get tested if they feel that they've been previously infected and they just want some reassurance, or if they think that they're sick, they really need to get back to work, so they need that test result showing whether or not they are a good candidate and eligible to go back to work. I think those are 2 tremendous values for all Hoosiers here.
The director of operations says for Indiana Immediate Care says she hopes this helps Indiana get back on track by getting more people tested. They are part of a federal program where they are offering this testing for free.
We're the first ones to close, and we're going to be the last to open.
Entertainment venues aren't at the top of the list when it comes to opening. The state venue owners know that, and they've formed an alliance to help them work together to get through the pandemic. Troy Washington is working for you to explain tonight's effort to keep local venue doors open.
We gather for a living. That's what we do. And when we're mandated with all these restrictions, we're the first ones to close, and we're going to be the last to open. When you see all these phases rolling out, we're in the very last one, no doubt about it.
For now, Josh Baker and the rest of the Indiana Venue Alliance will have to substitute live music for the virtual experience.
Tonight's program is a special tribute to 3 artists that we lost recently, great songwriters, and we're basically raising awareness for the critical issues facing all the independent music venues in Indiana.
It's a 2-hour presentation featuring national, local, and regional talent, along with appearances from local leaders like Mayor Hogsett.
The Venue Alliance, we've got about 30 members now all across the state of Indiana, ranging from the Melody Inn to the Jazz Kitchen to the Vogue, Clyde Theater in Fort Wayne, Red Bicycle in Madison, here's Square Cat Vinyl, the Hi-Fi, all of these independent rooms. When all this was happening, we all kind of saw a need to be working together and collaborating on our efforts as we're trying to fight through this.
The pandemic has put a damper on partying or even just stepping out to listen to music. Not to mention the concert industry, which is on pause for now and may not return until late summer with restrictions.
As a fan, myself, we created these rooms because we love live music. And I know that all the owners in our alliance, it's a business, but it's also a labor of love, and we really just want to get back to doing live shows again. I think the fans want that too. These streaming programs are not really what we do for a living. We want the real thing, just like everybody else.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. The virtual event is happening right now and goes until 8 p.m. We have all the details on our website, theindychannel.com. Businesses that were forced to shut down are trying to get back on track as they reopen and make changes to keep everyone safe. Moonshot Games in Noblesville is a local business we focused on during the pandemic. They went from no online store or delivery options to now shipping their games and puzzles across the entire country. Now that the store is back open, they have changed the entire layout inside. Instead of providing a space where people sit side by side and play games, it's now mainly a showroom style featuring the best games. With delivery doing so well, they leased out the warehouse underneath the store where there are thousands of games. They are also looking at how people can safely start playing games at the store once again.
We're definitely looking for cool ways to try to get gamers back in here, but we very strongly believe in following the governor's orders and working through the social distancing protocols. And so we've built out a prototype of a gaming table specifically for one-on-one gaming. We have the pieces coming in this week and are hoping to build out 10 or 12 of these so that we can again have folks back in here playing games in a safe, social way.
Moonshot Games is also doing curbside delivery. One of the items in high demand right now during the pandemic is puzzles. They used to carry about 10 and now they have around 300 in stock. RTV6 is putting the focus during the pandemic on the positive things happening all across the state. We want to show how people are working together, how businesses are stepping up to make a difference. Keter North America is shifting production at 2 of its facilities. One is in Canada, the other is in Anderson, Indiana. The company is making reusable face shields and donating them to hospitals, frontline emergency workers, and long-term care facilities. They typically make plastic products like outdoor sheds or toolboxes. The shift to make PPE is part of the global effort to address the urgent need.
There were a number of long-term care facilities in our neighborhoods that were not getting the PPE that they needed. So for us, we started calling around, and it's really been a grassroots effort with our employees to find these long-term care facilities and reach out to them to find out if they need it. And sure enough, they need it.
They have already received numerous requests from Anderson and surrounding areas for the face shields. They are currently working to fill orders and plan to keep making the face shields for as long as needed. Tonight, the Lapel community wants their high school seniors to know they are behind them. We know the end of the school year is looking very different due to COVID-19. In order to show the graduating seniors from Lapel High School just how proud they are, the community came together, and now these banners hang on poles down Main Street. This all started from a Facebook post after seeing another small town do the same thing. In just an hour and 20 minutes, the community raised $1,400 to be able to hang the banners in Lapel.
We drove back through down Main Street a couple times last night. And I mean, it was just so cool just seeing all of the people out. I mean, Main Street was packed. And on my Facebook news feed, I saw all kinds of people posting like, we drove through town, the banners look great. And there were people going out with their seniors, taking their pictures under the banners. And so it was just really cool.
Well, the banners will stay up at least through May 31st. On that day, each senior will get to graduate one by one in the auditorium. And then at 5 o'clock, there is a parade down Main Street where the entire community will be there to celebrate. Coming up next, a national snapshot of the coronavirus pandemic. President Trump and a former president trade jabs, and more states start to reopen, even as the death toll rises in some of those states.
American Idol, the grand finale, ABC tonight.
This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Former IU wide receiver Cody Latimer is facing several charges following his arrest Saturday morning in a Denver suburb. Deputies arrested Latimer after responding to a report of shots fired inside an apartment in Englewood, Colorado. Deputies said they found 3 people in the apartment, one with minor injuries, unrelated to a gunshot. Latimer faces second-degree assault and reckless endangerment charges. Latimer played for the Hoosiers for 3 seasons before the Denver Broncos drafted him in the second round of the 2013 NFL draft. He played 4 seasons with the Broncos and the past 2 with the New York Giants before signing with Washington in April. The firing of State Department Inspector General Steve Linick is now under investigation by Democrats. President Trump said he no longer had confidence in Linick. According to the White House, the move was recommended by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. But Democrats say Pompeo himself was being investigated by the Inspector General, who was looking into whether Pompeo had misused a political appointee to perform personal tasks for himself and his wife.
The president has the right to fire any federal employee, but the fact is, if it looks like it's in retaliation for something that the IG, the Inspector General, is doing, that could be unlawful.
Linick was an Obama-era appointee and the latest in a string independent oversight officials removed recently. On April 3rd, the Inspector General for the Intelligence Committee, who alerted Congress to the whistleblower complaint that triggered the impeachment investigation, was dismissed. A few days later, the acting IG for the Department of Defense demoted after a decade of working under both Republican and Democratic administrations. The president then moved to replace Christy Grimm, a top official at the Department of Health and Human Services, after she pointed out shortages and testing delays at hospitals amid the coronavirus pandemic. The spring weather has many Americans heading outside, anxious to get out of the house after nearly 2 months of stay-at-home orders. States continue to struggle with how to reopen and get their economies going again while keeping people safe. Here's ABC's Zachary Keish with the details.
After nearly 2 months of stay-at-home orders, beautiful spring weather over the weekend has thousands heading to America's parks and beaches. As of Monday, 49 states will have begun to reopen, Connecticut the only exception.
It's been rough, but we've been, going by the guidelines and not going out, trying to stay home.
Former President Barack Obama criticizing the Trump administration's handling of the pandemic.
More than anything, this pandemic has finally torn back the curtain on the idea that so many of the folks in charge know what they're doing.
President Trump responding.
Look, he was an incompetent president. That's all I can say. Grossly incompetent.
States are now dealing with how to reopen safely as the coronavirus continues to devastate the nation's economy. The restaurant industry has been particularly hit hard. An analysis of 20,000 restaurants from dining website OpenTable claiming 1 in 4 restaurants will shut down permanently following the pandemic. Texas, which began to reopen just over 2 weeks ago, saw its highest one-day increase in new cases on Saturday. 700 of them just in Amarillo, mainly tied to meat packing plants. Governor Greg Abbott now bolstering a task force sent to the area. New York's governor opening portions of his state, but hard-hit New York City and the surrounding areas remain under stay-at-home orders.
We just want to make sure we never go back to where we were. Question is reopening, not reopening or not. Everybody wants to reopen.
Sports continues its gradual return. NASCAR kicking off 7 races over the next 11 days, beginning with today's race at Darlington Speedway in South Carolina. And like yesterday's horse racing at Churchill Downs, no spectators in the stands. Zachary Keish, ABC News, New York.
A couple of very light showers and sprinkles today, but otherwise it was a very nice Sunday, even though we had that cloud cover around. Our temperature has made it back into the middle 70s as we have a southeast breeze at 15 miles per hour. Temperatures 73 for you right now in Columbus and Greencastle, 76 in Bloomington, and close to the 70-degree mark where you've got a little bit of that light rain in the Peru area right now. But you can see those thunderstorms getting a little bit closer in southeastern portions of Illinois. We've had one little shower here popping up over the Greencastle area. That's lifting north across 36 and into the Bainbridge region. Of course, we're not dealing with any severe weather out of that. And right now, we don't have any warnings in place back in Illinois. There's just been one thunderstorm warning earlier tonight. Still that slight risk of severe weather across much of central Indiana, a marginal risk for the eastern third. Isolated tornado, we can't rule that out, but mainly some gusty winds going to be the primary threat here as we look at TrueCast. 9 o'clock tonight, you can see those thunderstorms making progress over the western portions of the state around Spencer into the Lafayette area and approaching Indianapolis here as we get a little closer to 11 o'clock at night. Now, we are expecting those storms to continue to weaken a little bit as they make their way east. You can see by 3 o'clock in the morning, though, some rumbles of thunder could wake you up in the Richmond area. And as we do have some of these storms going into the overnight, extra good reason to have the Storm Shield app loaded up and ready to go in case any warnings are issued for your location. And of course, you've got radar right there at your fingertips as well. Tomorrow, we're going to continue with some showers. I don't think it's going to be an all-day rain for everyone, but temperatures will be a bit cooler, only the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. 68 in Columbus, 69 downtown, and 70 for you in Lafayette with some slightly lower rain chances. We do start off with fairly widespread rain, though, on Monday. Then as we go into the early afternoon, I think the focus is going to be over the western portion of the state. You notice that rain actually starts to come back from the east as we go into the overnight hours. And Tuesday, that's where we could see some heavy rainfall, possibly 2 or 3 inches of rain. Northern and eastern locations do have a flash flood watch in effect through Tuesday. Here's a look at the 7-day planning forecast, and the wet weather will move out for the middle of the week. Temperatures then start to rebound a bit, but we're not going to see a lot of sunshine this week with an area of low pressure kind of hanging out. Mostly cloudy through Friday. A little more sunshine as we warm things up next weekend. Highs are back in the 80s. Chance for storms on Sunday. The news at 6 is back right after this.
Rest assured.
With face coverings becoming the new normal, it's making it difficult for the hard of hearing to understand people. Not only do masks muffle sounds, but they prevent people from reading lips. So a couple in Indiana created special see-through ones for those with hearing loss. Dr. Giles Caseworm of South Bend helped create the communicator masks after seeing the challenges faced by her husband, David, who's been hearing impaired for 30 years. The Caseworms are now working with a manufacturer in California to make the masks. They're also working to get them into grocery stores.
We've worked now with some grocery stores to have one aisle that's specifically designated for people with hearing loss, and they're wearing the communicator mask. So now people with hearing loss can see someone's lips.
Mr. Caseworm says beyond the communicator masks, there's something simple you can do to help people like him during the pandemic speak a little louder and speak directly to the person. The Caseworms are also selling the masks online at hearingspot.com. Kroger says it will spend $130 million to say thank you to its employees for working during the pandemic. The company says the one-time payment to its workers is to acknowledge their dedication during this unprecedented time. As part of the thank you pay, full-time employees will receive an extra $400, while part-time associates will get half of that. The news comes after the company handed out hero bonuses during the months of April and May. Stay with us. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast after this break.
TheIndyChannel.com/rebound.
Work continues for fall sports to return, and when it does, IU will be ready. The school's volleyball team believes it has a new attitude, a group definitely moving up. Sports Director Dave First with the Sports Extra Spotlight.
Things might be shut down right now, even inside IU's new volleyball facility, Wilkinson Hall. That doesn't mean there still isn't some good news.
It's cool when there's some good news, and certainly the recruiting class that has come out is some pretty good news for us.
When things resume on campus, Steve Eyre will be coaching a freshman class ranked 15th in the nation, with some choosing the Hoosiers over others in the Big Ten.
I think a lot of kids want to play in the Big Ten. To say they play in the Big Ten or to wear the jersey and say they're part of it, I think it's a different kind of kid who wants to come here and kick someone's ass.
Aird isn't apologizing to anyone. Since taking the job in Bloomington 2 years ago, attendance has doubled inside their new 3,000-seat facility. And awareness is up from when he'd come to Indy for club recruiting visits.
Curious, when you came up to Indy, what were the sweatshirts the kids were wearing?
Yeah, not IU. Let's leave it there. No, and it's funny because I had recruited, when I was at Penn State, we recruited these clubs heavily. When I took the job in Maryland, we knew that these kids in the Midwest, within 3 hours of campus is some of the best volleyball in the country.
We're going into the locker room.
The facilities help.
Say hi.
We got a tour just last fall.
This is where we basically get ready for our games.
When the team can reconvene, though, will be anyone's guess.
Certainly there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to what the fall may look like. How do you keep kids heading in the right direction or keep the optimism?
Number one, recruit great people. I mean, these kids, Dave, they are so positive. They're working so hard. They did so well in school. We have this mantra kind of anyone, anytime, anywhere. And I told them, listen, if they tell us in a week we're playing in a parking lot at 10 p.m., it's game on.
It might be the off season, but the wins are still coming for IU volleyball.
You know how hard I always talk about the Big Ten being a monster. It is. There's schools in the Big Ten who have done this for 30 or 40 years in a row. So we've got a lot of catching up to do, but you got to start somewhere. So pretty excited about where we're starting and where we're at.
And ultimately, where they're going. Day first, RTV6 Sports.
A storm with the potential of some 60-mile-per-hour winds on the Illinois side. That will make its way through Sullivan over the next 20 minutes, and we'll keep you updated.
Kyle, thank you, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here tonight at 11. Have a great night.